Hello and welcome to ToddTalk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller, and I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, ToddTalk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is ToddTalk, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to ToddTalk. I am your host, Todd Hiller, and it is an absolute pleasure to have you with me here today. Today, I want to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart, which it usually is, and it actually stems from a comment I got on one of my LinkedIn posts, and it's about honoring commitments while staying true to ourselves, and it's something that I was asked kind of out of the blue on LinkedIn. It was a comment on one of my posts, but I was so happy to dive into it with this person and kind of give them a response because it's something that I am very passionate about, especially lately in my life. So the post said, if there is something in your life that makes you unhappy, you don't have to explain to anyone else why you don't like it. And it's very true, and I think that that resonates with a lot of people because of the type of culture we've created, and we're going to talk about why that is. So the person's question in their comment was, how do I honor commitments while staying true to myself? And so that's what we're going to unpack today. So grab your cup of coffee, your cup of tea, your Pepsi, whatever it is that you're going to drink, and let's dive in. So we've all been in situations where we committed to something, a job, volunteer role, a project, maybe even a relationship if that's something that's on your mind. And later we realized that it wasn't bringing us any joy. And that's where our internal struggle usually begins. On one hand, we want to be people of our word. We don't want to let anyone down. And on the other hand, we know that staying in something that no longer serves us can drain our energy and make us miserable. And we have talked about that theme of things within this podcast a lot in a bunch of different episodes. So that is something obviously we're pretty well versed in when it comes to this podcast especially. So how do we navigate this balance? What do we do? How do we stay true to our word without sacrificing our authenticity? So let's break it down. So the other part of this is we have both internal and external commitments, right? And we'll look at both sides of that coin. We have things we commit to do ourselves, and then we have the things we commit to do with other people. So the best way to honor commitments is to be intentional about them in the first place. Think about this. How do we say yes to something out of obligation? Or how often do we say yes to something out of obligation or guilt rather than actual desire? We've talked about this in another episode, too, about how we resent things so quickly. If you agree to do something you don't want to do, as soon as you agree and as soon as you say yes, the resentment starts, and then you dread it all the way up until it happens. If you say, yes, I'll go shopping with you on Saturday, and you hate going to the mall, all week, that's all you think about. Oh, God, I got to go to the mall on Saturday, and you dread it, and you hate it. And that's obviously not a good thing. So before you commit to something, ask yourself a few questions. Ask yourself, does this align with my values? Will this serve my long-term goals, and will this bring me joy and fulfillment? You guys know we're no stranger here on Todd Talk to talking about doing the things that you love and doing the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. And it's okay to look at those. It's absolutely okay to look at those in the long run and see if this commitment will serve you. Don't just agree because you think someone else says you or thinks you should. So we asked ourselves those three questions. If the answer is no to all three of them, then maybe it's not the right commitment for you. Because the reality is, when you say yes to the things that don't align with us, we end up feeling stuck later on. And I really think it's almost automatic. If you say yes to something you don't want to do, eventually, and sometimes it might take longer than other times, but eventually you're going to end up feeling stuck and burned out and gross and just resentful about actually having to do this in the first place. But what if you're already in a commitment that you no longer love? Let's talk about that for a minute. So obviously, our views change, our values change, the amount of time we have in our lives changes. Lots of different things about our lives change, and it's absolutely okay to understand and fully embrace the fact that at some point, some things don't serve our interests or our needs any longer, and we need to walk away from them. And it's okay to do that too. Let's not make any mistake here. You don't owe anybody an explanation if there is something you don't want to do anymore or you want to walk away from. And often is the case that we find ourselves engaged in things that they don't light us up anymore. Maybe you signed up for a project that seemed exciting at first, and now it feels like a burden. Now you really dread going to all those planning meetings. Maybe you volunteered for something that just isn't a good fit for you. You thought it was at one point, or you thought the people in there you were going to work with would be great because you get along with them well, but really you're just super uninterested. That's going to happen. If it hasn't happened to you yet, I promise it will, because it has happened to me a whole boatload of times. So when this happens, you have two choices. Show up and fulfill your commitment. But when you do that, and it's important to do that because I'm a big proponent of making sure you follow through on the things you say you're going to do. I tell my kids you can't quit a sports team just because you don't like it after the first or second practice. You made a commitment to sign up and play. Let's go. Let's get through this. So show up and fulfill your commitment. That's really important. But do it as your authentic self. This means not letting the expectations of other people dictate how you participate. Find a way to bring your personality and your strengths to the table. And even if it's not your favorite thing, if you show up as yourself and as the person you want to be, at least you can say that you are being true to yourself and you are enjoying what you bring to the table because you're doing it authentically and doing it in a way that serves you and makes you feel happy and genuine. And the second thing is, if a commitment doesn't serve you anymore, if it doesn't serve you at all, and you find no joy in it, and you can't show up and even be your authentic self, it might be time to walk away. Which brings me to the point that, how do we know when it's time to walk away? Some people are probably thinking, well, I have this thing in my life that I do, but gosh, I don't know if it's time to leave or if I'm just having a bad day or a bad week. And if this sounds familiar with you, that's okay. It will sound familiar to a lot of people because, quite frankly, we are changing people. We are changing. We are evolving. So some things we sign up to do in our life, we love them. We stay with them forever. They serve us. They bring us lots of joy, and we stay committed to them for a long, long time, even as we get older or our kids get older and grow up and we have more free time, or even as we change seasons of our lives, we have these things that we still love and we still want to honor those, and that's beautiful. That's okay. It's great. Let those stay happy. Let those be with you for as long as they want to be with you, because that's something really beautiful to say you can hang on to that. But what do we do and how do we know when it's time to walk away? Here's the thing. Staying in the commitment that you no longer enjoy or believe in is not just bad for you, it's bad for everybody involved, because it's not setting a good example for anybody who sees you. It's setting a bad example and a poor example for those people around you. If something no longer aligns with who you are, it's okay to let it go, because the people watching you, the people looking to you for guidance, or the people who really value your opinion or who are looking to you as a leader, if they see you being disingenuous to your own thoughts and feelings and what's in your heart about this commitment, that's not something you want to push forward and have them emulate or follow your lead in doing. Now, on that note, it is okay to walk away, but also on the note of people watching you and people relying on you, don't just up and run away and leave. Don't just turn tail and say, hey, I'm out of here, peace out, good luck, because that's not going to ever leave a good taste in someone's mouth. So first, evaluate the impact of your departure. Think about what it's going to mean for you to leave and no longer be part of this group, part of this committee, part of this commitment, involved in this relationship, whatever it is. Think about who will be affected and how you can minimize the disruption. Yes, I know we want to be true to our authentic selves. Yes, we want to make sure we're doing the things that bring us joy, but we owe it to the other people involved to do it with grace and to minimize the disruption. If you are someone who is in charge of a committee, if you are in charge of a group, if you lead an event or host an event, don't just all of a sudden throw your binder at the next person in line and say, I'm out of here, I don't want to do this anymore, good luck figuring it all out, because that will leave a terrible taste in everyone's mouth, including your own, because when you look back on that and when you reevaluate that and you revisit that in your mind, it's not going to feel good that you did that to those people involved, because at one point you liked working with those people. And even if you don't any longer, that's okay. But don't be disrespectful or unprofessional. There's an easy way to walk away, and you can do it professionally. It's might draw the commitment out a little bit longer, and you might have to leave a little slower than you'd like to, but don't just up and throw things in the air and say, I'm out of here. Give it some careful thought and make sure people know what your decision is and give them a good plan to move forward. The other thing you need to do on that note is to communicate effectively. Tell the people that you're working with or that are in the organization with you that you're going to walk away. You owe that to them at least. Don't just up and vanish. Talk to them. Communication is key. Communication is huge and will help you in so many facets of your life. Communication can do wonderful things for so many scenarios. The other thing you can do is offer solutions if possible. Ask yourself, can you help transition someone else into your role? Can you walk someone through what it means to take up your helm, take up the helm in your place? Do you have the tools, the capacity, the notes, whatever it is? Maybe it is a literal binder. I made the joke about throwing the binder at someone, but maybe you have a binder for this entire event that you have always kept, and you can give it to someone and say, hey, here, listen, here's all the things I've gathered over the past however many years or months or days. This is what you can use to go forward. Here's what, the things you need to remember and look at and think about. Good luck. Let's make a plan together. Do that for that person. And leave on good terms. There is nothing worse than burning a bridge that someday you want to walk back over again. Just because a commitment doesn't serve us right now doesn't mean it never will again. If you are involved in something, in a group, a committee, an organization, a friendship, something in your life that doesn't serve you any longer and you need to walk away, do it on good terms, because in 2 or 3 years or maybe 10 or 15 years, it may come around that you get back to that commitment, or different people are involved now, or you are at a different season in your life. Your kids are older, you are retired, you have more free time, whatever the case may be, and now you want to get back involved in it. Remember, leaving a commitment isn't something we do maliciously. It's something we do to preserve our own self-worth and our own good feelings and our own happiness and our own joy and our own ability to take on the other things in our life that we are committed to, like family and our job and all that kind of stuff. So leaving isn't malicious. So always leave on good terms. Don't burn those bridges. Make it clear why you want to leave. Tell them you're going to leave. Do it politely. Leave on good terms. And that way you can preserve the relationships going forward. And if you do that, or I should say when you do that, when you do all those things and you leave on good terms and you offer those solutions and you communicate effectively, you are not just honoring yourself, but you're showing other people how to set healthy boundaries. One of the biggest things and the biggest struggles about leadership, I think, is making sure you serve the things that you find to be true and worthy in your heart, and also let the people in your life that are looking to you for leadership know that you need to set healthy boundaries to honor yourself and what is going to make you feel whole and not like you're losing your integrity just by staying in something you no longer believe in. And while it is important, like I just said, to let people know your intentions and let them know what you're doing, you don't owe them an explanation, so to speak, right? So I said that in my comment on, we talked about the LinkedIn post. That's the idea that sparked this whole conversation. You don't have to explain why something doesn't make you happy. I just said communicate effectively. That is important. Let people know why you're leaving. Hey, this is not for me anymore. I have other commitments in my life. I no longer feel like I can serve this position the way I should. All that kind of stuff. But you don't owe them an explanation of why it doesn't make you happy. And we live in this time where people feel like they have to justify every single decision they make. And this is especially true on social media. And on the flip side, some people feel so entitled to that explanation for everything that their friends do, that their family does, and even that strangers do. Everybody needs to know why. Oh, my God, well, they're going to not post anymore or they're going to step away. How often this just sparked an idea in my head. How often have you seen a post on Facebook, social media, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, I don't care where it is, that says, taking a break from social media, I'll be back, love you guys, or whatever, right? We've probably all seen them. If you go to the comments, it is flooded with people like, oh my God, what happened? Did something wrong? Did someone die? Are you moving? Did you get arrested? Like all these things. People need to know, like, oh, well, why are you leaving? It's not up to that person to explain to anybody in those comments why they're stepping away. It is obviously for them, for a personal reason, and they don't owe anybody an explanation of why they're doing it. But so many people think that explanation is owed to them, and this is part of that social media culture that we've created. And like I've said before, I'm no stranger to social media. I like it a lot. I use it a lot. It's how I help promote my podcast. It's how I connect with all you folks, and I love it. I love social media for so many reasons. But it also has created that kind of really warped mentality that everybody on social media, regardless if they're your friend or a perfect stranger, gets, an explanation as to why you do the things you do. So you don't owe them that explanation, that's for sure. You don't owe them an explanation for why you don't like something or why you need to walk away from something. You don't have to write another social media post to justify why you're leaving, right? So we've seen that one that says, oh, hey, I'm going to step away from social media for a while. You don't have to create a second one explaining why. You just don't. Period, end of story. Hey, I'm stepping away. Time for me to go. And the other commitments in your life can be like that too. You don't have to write this super long, drawn-out dissertation about what happened and what went wrong and all the things that you've loved but now can't stand. And you don't owe people that. You owe them the honesty to say, hey, I need to walk away from this. You owe them the honesty and the integrity of saying, hey, this doesn't serve me any longer, and it's in the best interest of me and those other people involved that it's time for me to step away. But you don't have to give them a play-by-play, fully typed out, typewritten explanation as to why it doesn't make you unhappy. That's your business, not theirs. And that falls under this umbrella of a lot of people. I think they seek approval from other people of, do you think it's okay if I step away? Who cares? It's not their life. And I don't mean to sound crass when I say that, but it's not their life. It's your life that you're living. It's not theirs. They're not going to go out of their way to make you happy, and just the same, you don't have the power to control what they do to make them happy, because only we know what's in our own minds and our own hearts, all right? So you don't need approval from the other people to live a life that feels right for you. That's plain and simple. I'm going to say that again because I like that. You do not need approval from others to live a life that feels right to you. Period, end of story. The only person you owe that honesty to is yourself. So let's bring this all together, because I know we kind of went a few different places throughout this, as we walked through that kind of message and that idea of honoring yourself. So honoring commitments and honoring yourself are not mutually exclusive, right? There are things that we can do in our lives that are not solely for us. We can serve and help other people, and sometimes that brings us a really great sense of fulfillment and joy. You guys know it does for me. I love serving people. I love helping. I have a servant's heart, so we can do things for other people. And it's okay if they serve other people and serve us. That's amazing. But here's what I want you to remember. You have to think long-term and short-term at the same time. If you get involved in something, before you say yes, look at the whole picture. Look at it and say, does this serve me 2 days down the road as well as 2 months and 2 years down the road? Am I going to stay invested in this because it's something I truly believe in? Do I agree with the mission and the overall goal, or am I just going along with this to go along with it? That's really important, right? So make intentional commitments. Show up authentically. Especially know when it's time to walk away. And when you do have to walk away with grace and professionalism. Don't just get huffy and throw the papers in the air and storm out the door to make this big grand exit. Don't do that. And remember what I said before, you don't owe anyone an explanation for doing what makes you happy. That is up to you. We get one life to live. We don't get a rewind button, a pause button. We don't get a do-over. We get one life to live. And it's so important to make sure the choices you're making and the things you're choosing to spend your time on and to take time for and make time for are the things that bring you joy and make you happy. And also, more than that, are things that you want to use to better your life further down the road. Don't waste all that time and energy on something if you know in your heart that it's never going to be something you're interested in or never going to bring you any happiness or never going to serve your long-term goals. It's time, and this was a lesson it took me a long time to learn, but I finally pushed myself over the edge into knowing it is okay to make the choices in your life based on you. And it's not selfish. It's not saying, oh, I'm only going to do things for me. It's saying that, hey, I need to bring myself to a place in my life where I feel like I am living authentically and doing things that make me happy, and choosing some of these certain things is not going to serve that in any way, shape, or form. And I owe it to myself to not do that to myself, to not bring myself backwards in steps. I want to make sure I'm pushing my life forward the direction I want it to go. Because at the end of the day, you are the one living your life. No one else has to walk in your shoes, so no one gets a vote in what makes you happy. Does that make sense? Nobody else has to put up with what you put up with by staying stuck in this commitment that you really hate. That's all on you. It's making your heart feel drained or making you feel like your cup is empty or like you're worn out and just resentful and don't want to do it anymore. So it's up to you to make those choices, not anybody else. My friends, my listeners, thank you for spending the time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might need to hear it. And as always, feel free to reach out to me on social media if you have questions or comments. I love continuing these conversations with you kind of off the podcast and off script. So have a fantastic day. Until next time, stay true to yourself and remember to honor the commitments that truly matter to you. Thank you, my friends. Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your day.